Bitcoin just got upgraded. Okay, Kaspa is Bitcoin, but 6,000 times faster. You need to understand that it doesn't just share the same security, but it actually improves on Bitcoin's security. This isn't just peer-to-peer electronic digital cash, but this is a store of value more secure than Bitcoin could ever offer. Why? Let me break it down for you, okay? So first, we're going to have to understand the BlockDAG. All right, so how do we understand the BlockDAG? Let me pull it up real quick. Kaspa BlockDAG, okay? People will call you crazy. People won't believe you, but you have to see it for yourself. You have to understand for yourself. All right, what's up with this BlockDAG and how does it work? So one way to look at it is to picture. Let's first take it from Bitcoin, okay? Here's an analogy to really understand it. Bitcoin is one page at a time notebook. So all right, let's break it down. So imagine you and your friends can only write one sentence every 10 minutes in a notebook. But sometimes two friends try to write at the same time. There's a conflict. Two friends trying to write at the same time on a notebook, okay? Now, what's going to happen? The notebook chooses only one sentence and throws the other one in the trash. This other one is called an orphan block. This means work gets wasted and people might not agree on what the latest page says. Very, very interesting breakdown of what Bitcoin is with its blockchain, one block at a time, everything like that. Now, let me repeat it real quick so you understand it. Imagine you and your friends can only write one sentence every 10 minutes in a notebook. You and your friends, one sentence at a time, every 10 minutes, okay? So now if there's a conflict, there's going to be a problem. There's going to be wasted work. There may be some disagreement on what's the latest sentence on the page. Now look at Kaspa. What is Kaspa? Kaspa is a big whiteboard for everybody. Imagine a huge whiteboard where everyone can write a sentence every second, even at the same time. Instead of picking just one sentence and throwing away the others, Kaspa keeps all of them. Later, say a smart robot called BlockDAG looks at the whiteboard and says, let's find the sentences that most people agreed on and connect the best together. I'll call those my blue sentences. Other sentences that are okay, but not as connected, not as agreed on, I'll mark them as red. I'll still read them, but just later. This way, nobody's work is wasted. Everybody's sentences get included in the story, and the robot always builds the same story from all of the sentences. So everyone agrees, even if they wrote things at the same time. Now, that's just a beautiful analogy provided by AI, ChatGPT, gotta love it. A beautiful analogy of breaking down Bitcoin and Kaspa. So what does this mean in terms of, okay, so obviously you see the scalability, 6,000 times faster, being able to not waste work and all that. It makes Kaspa actually much more efficient. But what does it do? Okay, now we have to understand what is this, these red blocks. What is the security of these red blocks? So how can the security be taken advantage of? So, Bitcoin is secure up to 51%, up to a 51% attack. So an attacker needs to have a hashing power of at least 51% and over to do any sort of damage to the Bitcoin network and be able to do some, for example, a double spend. So what's a double spend attack? Double spend attack occurs when a malicious actor attempts to spend the same cryptocurrency more than once. So basically, it's like, imagine a merchant. You want to send something to a merchant. You're going to send, say, I don't know, 10 Kaspa. You're going to send 10 Kaspa to a merchant, but now you double spend. So you send 10 Kaspa, but then you send 10 Kaspa to a different place. Now that 10 Kaspa you sent to the merchant accepts it, sees it, and gets it. But then actually that transaction, those blocks end up getting rejected, and the merchant is left with nothing. And the accepted blocks are the other transaction where the double spender sent 10 Kaspa somewhere else. So we have to understand, how could this work? Now this is something that someone can do in Bitcoin if they have over 51% of the hash rate. So what's up with Kaspa? How is it more secure? So let's break it down. How does a double spend work? Where you have to basically take advantage of the time and the block acceptance in the network. That's by the nodes. So you need to have hashing power to mine a block. So you send this transaction. Now this transaction is going to be in a block. So this block is then going to be accepted by a node. And this node is then going to interact with other nodes in the whole Kaspa network, decentralized network. And it's going to, They're going to basically agree on the heaviest chain. So if you have transaction A, for example, sends 1 million Kaspa to a destination, say a merchant, and then it has transaction B send 1 million Kaspa to a different location. Now you say transaction A gets sent first. The timing is going to be really important. Now you send transaction B, it's a microsecond, okay, right after transaction A, something like that. Now what's going to happen? The way Kaspa works is through BlockDAG, it's going to default on the transaction that occurred first. It's going to assume that's the correct one, the one that gets seen by the network first, that gets seen by nodes first. So by default, you're going to have transaction A is going to be the one that's going to be accepted because you have both the same amount of quantity sent from the same wallet. One of them is going to be wrong. One of them is going to be the double spend. Now, how can the double spend work? Kaspa runs at 10 blocks per second. So after 0.1 millisecond, 0.1 second, 100 milliseconds, it's going to have another block is going to be found. It's a probabilistic event. Every 10 blocks per second, it's a probabilistic that, there's going to be a block every 0.1 second. So statistically speaking, there's going to be a block in 0.1 second. So that block that's going to get mined is most likely going to be mined to the transaction that was first, transaction A. Why would it get included to the chain of transaction B? Block B? Well, imagine that the double spender will need to be mining. It will need to be owning hashing power. Will need to have miners of their own that they are going to send mined blocks to this transaction B, to block B. They need to make block B look like it is the heaviest and longest chain. They want to make it look legit. So they're going to be mining blocks to block B. So say after 0.1 seconds, they add an extra block to the chain of block B. And here it gets, maybe add it right there or something. This BlockDAG. So they're going to have to mine to make their block B look like it's real compared to block A that was sent first and accepted first by nodes. So if they get their block B, this one looks like it's correct. The merchant will look at this transaction. It's the first one accept it in just 0.1 millisecond or less than even 0.1 millisecond. It looks like it's the actually legit transaction. But the thing is, it's confirmation time. Okay, it comes down to confirmation time. If they don't wait a sufficient confirmation time, there's not going to be enough mined blocks pointing, like true, genuine mined blocks that are looking for the real transaction. There's not going to be enough of them that pointing to this initial transaction A. So if there's not enough confirmation time, this merchant is going to just immediately, if they want to just accept it right there, then and there, they're going to be at risk of a double spend. So that's where the risk comes from. If you don't wait sufficient confirmation time, if you wait less than 0.1 second, you could absolutely be at risk of a double spend attack. Because why? The double spender attacker can be mining, they can mine the next block and attach it to their block B, their transaction B. And when they do that, what's going to happen? The other nodes in the network are going to see that, okay, this block B has another block attached to it by another node. A miner sent it, well, now this is now the heavier chain compared to this one. But still, miners would still look at this one and see that it was the one that was sent first. They may still think that it's the more genuine one, and they could add blocks to the first block A, and so on. But so the miner is going to need a lot of hashing power to add more and more blocks to block B. What does it come down to? It comes down to hashing power. If the attacker doesn't have sufficient hashing power, they're not going to be able to compete with honest miners. And this is what it comes down to the security, okay? So Bitcoin has the same type of deal. But here it's the BlockDAG, so you have these things on parallel, and which makes it more complex, but still the security is absolutely there. Let me pull up a cool tidbit that I found from Shy. Double spend attack starts at a fixed block. The adversary posts a transaction, creates a competing block containing a conflicting transaction. Now they must wait for the honest block to accumulate C confirmations. Okay, so here we go with the confirmations. But while the confirmations are happening, the miner, the one that's trying to do the double spend, they're adding blocks to this chain with mining their own blocks. Pushing blocks too soon will ruin the attack. So they stay, this is the honest chain. This is the honest miners, the whole node network. Accumulated seek confirmations. Finally considered confirmed. Only now the attacker can finally strike. After the confirmation, after the merchant accepts this as the true genuine chain, so they accept that transaction with the 1 million Kaspa as the real genuine transaction. Okay, they see it. It's the longest chain. It gets accepted. They wait at the confirmation times. It gets accepted on the chain. So all right, cool. Now they have their million. They're happy. They conduct the deal with you. You gave them a million. Maybe you gave them something else. And there you go. There you go. Now is the opportunity for the double spend. The dishonest person mines extra blocks more than the honest chain and adds them to their dishonest chain of blocks. Finally, the attacker got caught up to the honest chain, and they publish their blocks. So now at this moment, they have the longest chain. This is the longest, and it will be accepted as the new genuine, as the new real chain. So the attack is complete. How in the world can this happen? Well, it can't. It literally impossible to happen unless the miner has 51% of the hashing power of the entire network. Otherwise, this type of double spend is impossible. So now you have Kaspa and Bitcoin, be at risk of a double spend if 51% of the network is compromised. Now, we talk about 49%. What if an attacker has 49%? If they have 49%, it's going to be coming down to confirmation time. So that this confirmation time right here, what if the confirmation time isn't that long? What if instead of being this long of a time period where all these blocks get mined, what if it was only something like, these 3 or these 2, okay? What if just such a small confirmation time that, so now picture it like that. The full confirmation, to be secure against a 51% attack, you need to wait on Kaspa about 10 seconds. For Bitcoin, to be secure up to a 51% attack, 60 minutes. You need to wait for a full hour. So 10 minutes is the confirmation, is a single confirmation. You need a single confirmation time. But what if there's a dishonest miner, a dishonest person trying to do a double spend with 51 or 49% of the hashing power? They could still take advantage of you through some, very fortunate and lucky scenario for them. But if you wait an hour on Bitcoin, the chances of your money getting stolen from a double spend is just like, as close to the universe exploding. Now for Kaspa, you only need to wait 10 seconds. Now imagine if you wait more time than 10 seconds. You wait 20 seconds, you wait a minute. Your transaction is going to be more secure than Bitcoin could ever be, assuming the hashing power is the same across the two networks. It's pretty insane. It's pretty crazy. Because look at this. Okay, this is the one block. Say you waited a block for 10 minutes for Bitcoin, a full confirmation of one block. Technically, still a risk that the miner could have 51% or close to 51% of the hashing power, and they mine 2 blocks in a row, and now they're deemed the heaviest. Well, man, I'm looking at the BlockDAG, so it's different. In Bitcoin, it's a singular chain, so it's a lot more straightforward. There's orphaned blocks instead of these red blocks and blue blocks. Hopefully, I explained just a little bit enough for you to understand a little bit extra. I may have to remake the video, I may have to make another video on it, but that's just like, just the tip of the iceberg with getting to understand how Kaspa is more secure than Bitcoin. Because you wait the same confirmation times on Kaspa. If you say wait 10 minutes on Kaspa, there is zero. You have less of a chance for an attacker to double spend than on Bitcoin. On Bitcoin, you wait 10 minutes because you need to. Otherwise, you will be at risk. You wait 2 minutes because you need to. On Kaspa, you wait 0.1 second because you need to. If you don't, then the security comes in. Is flawed. You won't have the security. Now, if you want full security, you wait 1 hour on Bitcoin. On Kaspa, you wait 10 seconds. Like, if you want to wait 1 hour for confirmation of your transaction, if you're an exchange or you're a merchant, whatever, you want to wait 1 hour for your transaction to be confirmed, having so many blocks from the honest chain, block after block after block after block, they're just going to be quite literally closer to in the impossibility for an attacker to to beat you, especially with that increased time frame, where you could even rent out hashing power. You could have miners in the cloud, and you could rent out that time period and for those amount of miners for this amount of time. So it's like attacks like that. Um, they as more time increases, they become more costly and costly. So even theoretically speaking, it's like it becomes closer to just absolute impossibility. Um, you could use Kaspa as not only not only a transaction, peer-to-peer electronic cash, but you could use it as well for a store of value. If you want to say, for example, you have a vault and you want to wait for, say, 1 hour for the confirmation. Why not? You can be more secure than waiting 1 hour than with your Bitcoin. For people to start understanding and seeing that as the big picture, as a long term, seeing Kaspa as the ability to be more secure than Bitcoin, it is insane. It's insane. More decentralized than Ethereum, more useful than Ethereum, because Ethereum and their L2s, they can't be communicating simultaneously. They don't have that atomic composability. Kaspa does, and Kaspa will. I mean, it's not released just yet, but Kaspa smart contract with the base rollups going to have that atomic composability especially with the zero knowledge proofs, zero knowledge smart contracts. It's gonna unlock a whole new realm for crypto and everything that all the use cases. Even for example, like here's a use case: Kaspa and BitTensor, using Kaspa as the underlying layer for BitTensor and their whole AI network to be running on top of. That's the use of Kaspa. You have the Kaspa as the sequencing, the settlement layer for all these different applications and tools and games to be built on top of. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's an application, if it's even say for like X and Twitter, for example, this is an application that has data sending and data verifying. Data needs to load, and Kaspa can be run on. This can be run on top of Kaspa. It's fully decentralized. You're not going to have downtime. You're going to have more secure. Everything's going to be there on the blockchain, or say BlockDAG. It's just that, and for fractions and fractions of the cost of keeping X on a data center. Data centers are expensive. They're actually really expensive to use, and people that run them can make a lot of money with data centers, and even how Kaspa, the miners, can be can be put into data centers when data centers aren't, or certain computers aren't needed within a data center. And then you could that flip of a switch can be instantaneous, and because Kaspa has so many blocks per second, you could be actually making profit in just a very small time frame. Boom, switch it, put those AI data center to work, put it through Kaspa, and boom, it's like, and then flip the switch back when you actually need to use it for whatever other task that data center is specialized for. So some really interesting applications down the road for Kaspa. Yeah, so hopefully you got a little something out of this video, but I'll definitely be covering this topic and mentioning it with some more throughout videos, because it's a huge topic, a huge bonus for Kaspa that is very much undermentioned, underplayed. Yes, Kaspa is silver, but it's also gold, and much better than gold, much better than Bitcoin at a store of value, especially when it's used for that. You can use Kaspa as a store of value. Wait extra confirmation times, and then boom, there it is. Yes, we need more hashing power, but the hashing power is seeing a trend to a power law, to a very high accuracy of 96 up to 98% accuracy, to a power law trend. Now that's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. So we see that big money is definitely in Kaspa, and they're definitely seeing it as not only a way to make good money mining, but as as a real contender for peer-to-peer electronic cash and store of value, as contender to the fiat currency, a contender to gold, contender to Bitcoin. So you already know,